Who wants to talk about budgets? That's what I was doing this week when it came around to Profit First Allocation Day. I'm here at the end of the year, and so it's time to look at the budget as it occurred last year, compare it to what I thought it was going to be, and then prepare for next year as well. It's not my favorite thing, but it does tell me a lot about how the business is doing and what I should be reducing expenses around and increasing expenses around. I can tell you we had a great year this year. It was not our best revenue year, but it was my best personal income year. So that is a huge advance from where I was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even a year ago. And so I'm really excited about that I was able to continue a very profitable business this year. And I owe so much of that to the Profit First formula and process that's so easy to follow. Now I'm just digging in a little bit deeper. Last week, we had that conversation with Karen from Storymap Marketing, who used to run World of Coca-Cola marketing and market budget. And so there was such insight from her around what we should be spending on our own marketing, what I should be spending on my own marketing, and also around how to allocate it so that you can have fun with your marketing budget, but you can also do the things that are really going to convert into a return on investment, which I am big on getting the most out of every marketing dollar that you spend. So the good news is that doing a review of the budget from last year, I was able to see a couple of really great leaps forward from before. So I don't know how long you might have been coming to this channel and or watching these videos, but you'll know that I had a goal of keeping the total revenue to real revenue. That's totally a Profit First reference there. So if you're not familiar with Profit First, all that is there's revenue that comes in the door, but then there are costs that are associated with each of the projects that can include costs that I pay to subcontractors or costs that I pay for a particular project to get done, like in software. So those are considered costs of goods sold on my P&L. And total revenue can look really fabulous, while my real revenue, or what I can do with the money, like pay myself, pay my people, have operating expenses around that, can look pretty bad, and it has in previous years. But this year, while it wasn't our biggest total revenue year, it was our best real revenue year. And that's a huge leap forward with where we've been in the past. So I was able to maintain, it was my goal to keep that at 70%. So I'm only spending 30% of the income, the revenue that's coming in the door, on cost of goods sold. So per project. Now I've got 70% left over of the revenue that's coming in the door to spend on paying myself, paying my employees, and paying for other things that we need to keep the business running. And marketing is included in that. So we listened to Karen with Storymap Marketing last week, and she was talking about how we should all be spending hopefully somewhere between 8% and 20% of our budgets in marketing dollars, because marketing is how we can help our business grow. If you read Fix This Next by Mike Michalowicz, then you'll know the biggest piece, or the foundational piece, that you have to run a successful business is you have to have revenue coming in the door. That's that sales module, that foundational piece, that without that, everything else falls apart. So we have to pay attention to the revenue coming in the door. And one of the only ways to help make that happen and to help it grow is to market our business, our products and services. Now, you might do that by word of mouth and other methods. And what I'm trying to concentrate on, because we have been a word of mouth referral business for a very long time, and now I'm trying to grow us even further, so that we can help more people, so that they can build profitable businesses, and that they and we can do more life. So our goal around growing has to mean that we put an investment in marketing. And so we're trying to budget around that and figure out what does that mean. And Karen was telling us with Storymap Marketing last week, she was telling us that she started out with 6% spending toward marketing her business, and that she's grown it to that 10 and 12% now, which is phenomenal. And it's really difficult to run that business. So if you've got revenue coming in the door, and let's say you're like me, you're spending 30% of that on cost of goods sold, you got 70% left over, and of that 70%, you want to take 10, 12% of that and start spending it toward marketing. And one of the things that we're going to do in 2023 is have an actual bank account that is just for marketing dollars. We spent some this year, so I can see that in my budget line item when I'm going through and looking at, did I spend money in advertising? Did I spend money in training? So I've got these line items that are lumped into that operating expense budget with Profit First. And I'm just pulling that apart a little bit to say, okay, I have to spend at least this much on marketing or save this much for marketing dollars so that I can put it out there and help me grow my business. So looking at this cash flow allocation spreadsheet that is provided by Linda Stapp with Stapp Financial, there is an easy way to break down this whole budget for marketing. And what I like to do is hop in here and even put like the sub numbers for the actual account. So it makes it super easy when I plug in my revenue for the week, then I know exactly what to put into each bank account. And I just pop over here and say 0, 0. I think you can do the same thing in this column here. But, and these are not my numbers, by the way, but this is where you can plug that in. If cost of goods sold is 30%, then other things have to go down. Maybe you're making 15% as the owner, and you can bump this up to 24% in operating expenses. Now, what we've talked about before is that marketing is typically included in operating expenses if you've read Profit First. But in this scenario, we've pulled it out. So operating expenses are not just 24% here. They're more like 30%, which is still pretty low for operating expenses. So just keep that in mind. But as you're going down the list, and this would be total revenue if you're adding your cost of goods sold to the spreadsheet here every week. If you leave this at 0, then you're going to plug in here your real revenue. And that's when you start to see increases here, like 44%, which would really end up being 50% in operating expenses because marketing would be included in that. And that would get you to 100% of your real revenue. So if you put total revenue in here, then you need to put cost of goods sold in. If you're not using cost of goods sold in the spreadsheet, then you're plugging real revenue in here. But this is where you can allocate and start that new bank account, allocate a certain amount. Karen suggested that we start at 6%, so you can plug that in. Pull it out of one of these other places, probably not taxes, because taxes are important to pay. And you'll have to negotiate. Typically, it comes out of operating expenses before it comes out of anywhere else, because you have to pay yourself. And you have to pay your employees too. So, but typically it comes out of operating expenses. And so if those numbers are not quite adding up and you're wanting to spend some more money in marketing, you've either got to increase the amount of real revenue that you've got coming in the door, or you have got to decrease these operating expenses. These other line items right here should be non-negotiable. You pay yourself, you pay the government, and you keep profit in your business. So you've got to lose some expenses related to the operations, or you've got to pull this number up, the revenue. And here is where you allocate every week or every 2 weeks or once a month, however often you do your cash flow allocations. This is where you can have that calculated for you, run a quick report in QuickBooks, pop the total revenue or the real revenue number here, and then you'll see how much to put into your marketing account. This is exactly how we'll be doing our budget for 2023 as we open up this new marketing bank account. And each one of those dollars, I'm going to figure out if I'm getting an ROI on them. That's one of the pieces that I'm working on right now as I'm going through my budgeting process from looking at last year and looking into this year. So which pieces of the marketing investment that I made are returning to me in revenue, building revenue and building business. Now, it's been, less than a year, basically. If we're looking at expenses that have happened in 2022, so we're doing a look back over the year, it's been less than a year. And what I like to do with marketing dollars is look at 1 year of investment and see if it pays me back 5 to 10 times the money I put into it. So some of those marketing investments, they're immature. It hasn't been long enough for me to tell if they've paid off or not. So some of them I'm going to continue to look at. This is where we get into KPIs. This is something that I'll take a look at probably quarterly, just to say, okay, has it been a year? If it has, then is this investment that I made, have we grown this much in revenue in order for that to be a payoff? And for me to consider it a successful investment. Hopefully I'm at least breaking even, right? So I haven't made disastrous marketing choices. But what I'm really looking for is that 5 to 10 times an ROI within a 12-month period. Hey there, sorry to interrupt, but are you liking this content? Is it something that you're benefiting from? Are you learning something and growing a little bit from this content? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, do me a favor, hit that like button so the algorithm will send this out to more people just like you so that we can all build more profitable businesses and do more life together. Thanks for watching. So I'm going to look back a year ago to see if the marketing investments have paid off. And I can tell you some of the ones that I made in 2022 already paid off. So really excited about that. But there's some that I've made later in the year that they're immature. So maybe I've broken even, maybe I haven't broken even yet, but I'm not considering it a bad investment in marketing because it hasn't been a year yet. There's not enough maturity for me to tell whether or not the investment was worth it in the end. So that's the good news about the marketing budget and looking back over the year from my company's perspective. And those are the things I'm looking at. My goal was to say at least 30%, spend 30% or less on cost of goods sold. Check, nailed it. And then now I'm looking at the investments that I made in marketing so that I can say this paid off or it didn't, or it was close, or we paid into this, but we didn't even try to use it. Those are the ones that really stand out to me and I like to highlight because I need to know that I made an investment of money, but put no investment of time and effort around it. Sometimes that happens when people come to us and they want us to help with their messaging or they want us to build a website. Sometimes things get stuck and we don't get the content out there into the universe, and then it cannot give us an ROI. So they've spent money on it and then there's no return on that investment because it's not even gotten in front of anyone's eyes. So I have to be careful with that because I have a lot of ideas, but then sometimes they don't get executed. So I look for things that I've invested in that maybe I haven't executed yet. And then it's like, oh, wait, we've got to get this out into the universe so that I can see if there's a payoff. And then the second piece is I like to think about, okay, I made this investment. I did put it out there, but I did it one time. So that is like the marketer's worst nightmare. So if you're working with us and you use content that we've put together for you one time and you never use it again, that is a nightmare because it typically takes someone seeing something between 7 and 14 times over 4 different platforms. So that could be email or a blog post or some sort of social media channel or Google Ads, but 4 different platforms, and I see it 7 to 4 times. And that is when I've actually seen it. So my brain is filtering out tons of messages every day. Yours is too. So when we see something one time, it typically does not sink in that we've even seen it. It's not until we see it 7 to 14 times over 4 different platforms that it ends up sinking in, and we believe next time we see it that we've seen it before. So sometimes people come to us and they're worried about republishing a blog article that they published 2 years ago. They're worried about sending it across too many channels. They're worried about cutting up their videos in different ways and putting them out there again. And I just have to say, you might get a little bit less of a response, but the fact that it's out there means that you're getting another exposure to it. And it does mean that people are going to start believing that they've seen it next time you have a conversation with them about it. So it's all about being front of mind when it's time for people to make a decision. So that is one of the things that I look at when I'm going through my marketing budget that I spent last year and trying to decide if I got a return on that investment. Then I make sure that I didn't just put it out into the universe once. So 2 things. First, did I execute it? If I didn't get an ROI, or even if I did, what if it's the best ROI I got and I put it out into the universe once? That means that it could be the potential could be explosive for me in the future if I will use that 7 times, 14 times across 4 different platforms. So using that message again and again, or using that content again and again, means that it will be even more successful for you. So when I'm culling through my marketing budget and looking to see if I have made a return on investment, those are the kinds of things I'm looking for. Did I actually execute on this? How successful was it? How big was the return on investment? Did I just make my money, or am I making 5 to 10 times an ROI within a 12-month period? If it was super successful, but I only used it once, then I need to blast this out everywhere. If it wasn't successful at all, then are there these other areas that I could have tried that I didn't? Maybe I just put it out into the world once, or maybe I didn't put it out at all. So those could be reasons that I'm not getting a return on my investment. So like if you build a new website, blast it out all over all of your social channels, put it in your emails, write a blog about it, and make sure that when you're talking about this new thing, this is the fun thing about making an announcement about your website. When you're talking about your website, you might get really excited about having a brand new website. And what you want to avoid with that is turning that excitement into something that is 100% about you. What you should think about is, why did you do this for the people who are going to use it? So from a website investment, and when you're messaging around, hey, we have this new website, it should be because it's easier to use for your people, easier to find things that they wanted to find from the beginning. It could be that building a bigger community around this can help them in a number of ways, because then they have more power in the market. They have an easier time getting to you. So what is it about this new website that makes it better for your customer or client? And that's how you should frame up all of these marketing investments that you're making. If you're making announcements around them, like, hey, we built this new thing for you, there's a new product or service. Well, it should not be because you're excited about it. Or it could be something like, hey, we hit 50 years. We're so glad to still be around. No, it should not be about you. It should be why either someone else helped you get there, or the thing that you're announcing is good for the people who are watching the content. They are experiencing your new product or service, or experiencing your new website. What makes that better for them? Sometimes it's just like you have some clarity, or a lot of times it's easier to find the things that they're truly looking for. So you could say something like, We did this research and found that everyone wanted to be able to find this thing, but they couldn't find it, or they had to dig around a lot, or they had to click several times, or they had to do searches on our website for it. Well, now it's front and center. We redesigned this based on what you need. We got your feedback and we did the thing that you asked us to do. So make it all about the customer whenever you're making these announcements, and put it out there everywhere. Every social media platform, in email, in a blog post, send out mailers. Again, that message needs to get out in front of people 7 to 14 times over 4 different platforms or channels before someone feels like they have heard your message. Consistency is key, and continuing to talk about the same thing over and over again makes you the authority on what that is. So, looking at our budgets, where did we land from last year? And specifically, when I'm looking at my marketing budget, I'm asking myself, okay, did this investment give me a return? How much of a return? Is it too immature to give me a return? Or do I need to wait a little bit longer? Have I actually used the item that I paid for, whether it be training or messaging or some sort of content that I should be getting out there? I paid for something. Am I using it so that it can give me a return? If I used it, did I use it only one time and I should be using it more? Was it a great success based on these few times that I put it out there? Could I get even more if I amplified that message? Those are things that I'm constantly looking at in my own marketing budget to see if my marketing is working for me. And every single dollar that you put into marketing should return to you with a 5 to 10 times ROI within a 12-month period. If it's not, then you've got to ask yourself some questions around why isn't it working? And then make some adjustments there or abandon it. Those are the options. You make adjustments, you use it more, or you abandon it and you try something different. But I would encourage you to not abandon anything that you haven't given enough time or you haven't given enough exposure to. And make sure that you're tuning up that marketing budget, setting aside money specifically so that you can grow that revenue line, which is the lifeblood of business, according to Mike Michalowicz anyway. But I believe it's true because it's the same thing that's worked for me. All right, that's it for today. That's Profit First Allocation Day, was all about budgeting today. If you want to hear about how much you should be spending as a small business or a marketing-owned business, then you can listen to last week's conversation with Storymap Marketing owner Karen Brunke. And she used to work for Hallmark and then the Coca-Cola company, marketing and managing the marketing budget for the world of Coca-Cola. She had a lot of great insights. And then once you start putting that money away for marketing and spending money on your marketing, then she has a formula of how to invest that money that I thought was brilliant, and I'm going to be using it for a lot of other things that we do here at Creative. I know it can help you too. So we've got a link to that below. Just click that link and hop over there. Listen to all the insight that Karen's given to us about a marketing budget and how to allocate it to make your business more profitable so that you can do more life. All right. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Hope you have a great new year, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Oh my gosh, you reached the end. Congratulations and thanks for watching. One quick question before you go. Did you find this interesting? Do you think someone else that you know could benefit from the information you heard here today? Well, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe and hit that bell so you can get notifications for when more of this information comes out. By hitting like, it means that this content goes out to other people just like you who might also be able to benefit from this information and can build a more profitable business so they can do more life. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.